I'm hoping this is going to work, but I had so much on there, it stopped recording the other day. So into May now, and this month it's a 4 week, because the very last week I'm not running a class, which I think I've said before, but I'm having a week off that week. So the theme for this month is looking towards abstraction. So it's treat it as broadly as you want to, if you want to take this on as a theme. And just thinking really just something that's a bit more looking towards modernism and something that is moving away from just direct observational drawing and naturalism really. So I brought in 1 or 2 examples of some of the things that I've either done in the past or mostly different examples, and a few books as well. So one interpretation would be to maybe just sort of simplify colour, simplify forms. So I've got a few of these examples, and these are mostly just flat colours and cut and paste, so collage. So these are a few that I've done in the past. So these are all actually designs for, I've shown these before, but these were designs for stage backdrops. That I then had made bigger for a day centre I used to work for, so we haven't blown up. So these were for all sorts of different festivals, different kind of cultural festivals. But the nice thing about this sort of thing, working this way, is what I did was I got people to paint these sheets of paper, the colours that we had, paint pots, and then it's really just cutting and pasting. And it's nice to be able to cut the shapes out and move them around. So you've got a different feel of different sort of compositional possibilities than if you're drawing something and then filling it in with colour. You can actually physically move the colours and the shapes and things like that. So that's quite a nice way to work. So there's a few of those ones. Some of them I added a little bit of paint to, so that one had a little bit of paint on. So that's one way of working. And then other ways of working would be like something that's more pure abstraction. So this was I did on a Jackson Pollock workshop that I was asked to run once for a theatre. So this is one of my test pieces. And we got lots of bottles of acrylic and poster paint, and sheets of plastic on the floor, and lots of canvases. So that's good fun to do. So something just again just expressive paint work and exploring colours. Starting with the background colour is good with that. And this is a collage one. So this is collage, but using still life objects as the basis. I think that's one of the little vase I've got, and a little sculpture. I think that's my scarf. But using coloured papers and some textured papers, maps and cutouts and things like that. So that's that one. And then I've got others that combine paint and collage. So these are slightly landscapey based. I think that way up works better with that one. That way. So these combine acrylics and glue. Sometimes I've started with collage and then painted over the top. So this was tissue paper. There's little bits of silver paper in here, bits of newsprint, and then little bits of textured wrapping, things like that. And then palette knife work, painting, scrubbing the painting. I think acrylics works quite nice with collage because you can actually use it as a glue and paint at the same time, or you can use PVA. This technique is put some acrylic colour down, then PVA over the top, and then some more acrylic colour, and then holding it at a little bit of an angle, and then the colours separate out a little bit and fragment. So it's a bit like one of those kind of 1980s colour effects, things like that. So there's, and then other things where I've stamped and used different textures like bits of fabric and little bits of bubble wrap, stuff like that. So that's some of the different possibilities. I've not got, unfortunately I went through most of my collage materials away, because I used to run these, when I used to run the open arts groups, I had tons and tons of materials, and then that project folded, and I forgot that I could use it for this, and I was trying to have a clear out. So I've got a little bit that one of my students given me, and we've got some glue. I've still got glue in the car, if anything wants to use something like that. So it's really just kind of laying out the possibilities. So I was thinking, you know, there are a few ideas for today. What I was thinking to do next week is, on my Tuesday class, I may have done this with this art group as well, years and years ago. We use this exercise, which I've got out of a drawing book, and it's really a still life, but moving more towards cubism. So whereas with cubism, it's like there isn't a single point perspective. You're looking at shapes, but from different angles. So this isn't what they call pure cubism, but this is a sort of version of cubism that Picasso or Braque would have done. And it's very much about arranging colours, arranging shapes, coming up with a nice design, something that feels interesting, exciting, and balanced, and that sort of thing. So this exercise, what we'd do is bring in a few still life objects, and then we'd set them up, maybe have a table or a couple of tables together, and then you draw some of it, maybe do a line drawing, and then move around to a different position, and then redraw, and then move around again and redraw. So that what happens is some of the objects sort of superimposing on top of each other. So here's like a mask or a head shape, and then you've got the profile of that. And then you might see a little bit of a vase or something through there, or a jug through there. So that's quite a nice exercise. And I was thinking that might be a good one to do next week, if anybody's interested in that. So we can do that with as many or a few people who are interested. Set up a few tables. Perhaps next week I'll change the layout of the room a bit, and then if you're interested in taking part, perhaps sit on one of those tables. If you're not, sit on one of the others. If you've got like one or two objects you could bring in, and I'll bring a few objects as well, and then we can set up still lives. And then that could be the basis of, you know, perhaps start with a line drawing or a couple of line drawings. It could then be painted. So you could do it on paper, or you could do it on board or canvas or whatever you wanted. And or you might just want to start with a few drawings to start with. So it's just gathering some visual materials. So that I thought might be quite a nice one for next week. Does that sound okay? Yeah. The other things that, and that's like a variation as well, just a single object where you're kind of looking maybe from the top and then the side, and superimposing different viewpoints. So there's all sorts of ways you can go with that. The other thing that I had planned for May was really preparing for working outdoors. Any of you that want to come outdoors with me. Because once you're outdoors, it's kind of quite hard to do the teaching, really. I can do some, but it's better to just get you prepared when we go, really. So I will run a couple of sessions, perhaps one a month, maybe one in May, one in June, and then one early July. So I'm going to start looking at dates and possible dates, and then I'll see who's interested and where you want to go, and the same with my other groups, and then come up with a plan, really. So anyone who wants to do that. But also along those lines, Southend Plein Air Group, I think we're meeting, I'll put it on the next email, but I think it's around, coming up is Southend Art Club's exhibition, and we're going to meet the same weekend as the exhibition, so it'll be on the Sunday. So that might be quite a nice chance to come along and have a look at the exhibition and do a bit of sketching and painting at the same time, if you want to, sort of thing. So, but it's also, it'd be quite nice to get people, as a way of getting people interested in the art club exhibition as well. So that'll be on there. Is that all good? Okay, right.